there, guys, and welcome to another Factorio Alternate Friday Facts number 7, Megabase Mentality, and I am joined, as always, by Bombug.
Hello, hello. How you doing this fine weekend, X?
Doing good, really looking forward to the weekend, chilling, nice weather here.
Yeah, it's been cooling down. Get a little bit of snow and ice. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, be real,
Just in
real
time
good.
for spoopy month.
Yeah,
It's
spoopy month.
time for Halloween to not actually happen, but the spirit will still be with us.
Yes, exactly. um, yeah, so this ALT-F4, Ultimate Friday Community Facts, is it's pretty cool. So we have a section here on a mod spotlight by Yuoki Industries, and then we have a section on Megabase thinking, which is quite interesting to me, both of us really, and then we have a MMO mentioned down at the bottom. So start off here from Church Organist, who is I believe someone who I know who they are. They stream on Twitch. I mentioned it down here. They've come into my stream a few times. They go throughout streams, but uh, so yeah, he talks about Yuoki Industries, and this is a mod that has been around for quite a long time. It's a mod suite that is similar to other big overhauls such as Crash Story 2, Bob's Angels, or Pioneers, in that it creates new game content, but it's unique in that it doesn't replace vanilla content, rather adding to it, often with alternative recipes. It's also unique in that progress is not dictated by the tech tree, but rather by having access to the materials required to make an item. To do this, it adds new materials and technologies to the game, including new ways of generating power, agriculture, and a multitude of additional rail vehicle options. It recently went through a rough patch due to the author Yuoki Tan, notable for supplying graphics to a wide range of Factorio mods, no longer having time to play Factorio and thus being unable to test any new additions to the mod. So to remedy this, Yuoki Tani established a GitHub repository for this mod, which for his mods, which has enabled coders in the community to step up and offer to help. Consequently, main mod has recently undergone a facelift to bring it more in line with the current state of the base game. The mod has been improved in the following ways. So there's now settings. Disable vanilla productivity module behavior. Adjust player reach and inventory size. Start the game with tier 1 power armor, a shield, generate a report and 50 construction bots, the Yuoki versions of that. Uh, some other settings here. Storage chests now have logistic filters. Mining times have been shortened. Logistic buffer chests have been added, etc., etc. So, some settings. I think settings and mods are always really, really nice.
Yeah, the more they can allow users to customize, the better, because that really is kind of the heart of Factorio. Doing things the way you want.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, exactly. So, there have been a number of improvements to Yuoki Industries engines, but there's still work to do to bring it up to the same standard as the main mod. Uh, in due course, other mods in the industry suite will be overhauled, improved, where necessary. And a little shout out here from himself, which is fine. Church Organist, I mentioned he has a Twitch channel. If you want to see him play with it on 10 UTC plus 1 on Mondays and Saturdays beginning October 3rd. He'll be starting new Yuki base from scratch, so pretty cool. Yeah, it's a cool mod. I've looked into it briefly. I've never played it. I've not spotlighted it. My mod spotlight series spotlight a ton of mods, and I have people ask me to do these big mods, and I just haven't because in my opinion, it's very very difficult to actually correctly and adequately showcase mods this large in like a 10 to 15 minute video. Um, it's just
Yeah.
it's just really hard. Like it would have to be multiple videos, or it would have to be like a 45-minute video, which is really just not the theme of the mod spotlights. These mods are just way too big for that.
Yeah, I
Um,
definitely feel like with these kind of mods, you've got to show off here's how it transforms your gameplay. Here's what my normal base would look like versus a base over here in this mod, and give people enough to know if they're going to be interested or not, right? You don't really have time to show the whole thing. There's so much going on in these massive redos.
yes, exactly. And I mean, like you just mentioned, considering the time that would go into like getting a base
Oh
to
yeah.
that point, unless it's a mod I just already play with, like that's just that's just too much. That's a
Yeah,
good.
you're looking at 40, 50 hours in a lot of cases
Yeah,
just to
exactly, for one
get
video.
going.
So little much. Um, but yeah, it is a cool mod. The graphics are really fancy. I'm not sure how well they necessarily fit into the Factorio theme because they're from at least last time I looked, they're very very clean and slick, which I think is great. Like they're absolutely fantastic graphics. So if that's your thing, definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, they kind of put a lot of focus into new like energy sources, right? You got
Mm-hmm.
like organic sources, right? You got farms, you got animals and corn and that kind of stuff. It's kind of interesting. I definitely am how do I say it? I definitely do notice the difference in graphics where I was a little bit confused in Factorio seeing everything that I built completely new from newly smelted ore, like everything ended up rusted,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's kind of the look of Factorio is rusted, a little bit patched together, right? Like instead of a single solid panel of metal, you'll see a whole bunch of panels stitched together and rusted.
Mm-hmm.
And this mod is definitely more like, oh hey, you just built it, it's fresh and clean,
Yes,
all in one piece.
exactly like that. So but yeah, overall good mod. So we move on to Megabase thinking from Lone Wolf. In the fourth issue of the ALT-F4, Gamebuster 800 briefly touched upon the idea of smelting uh, ore at deposits rather than in a centralized location. The reason for this is very straightforward and easy to grasp, which once you know this information they give, it's easy to grasp, but there's actually a lot of people who don't know or don't consider this, and I don't really blame them because it's just like it's not mentioned specifically. You have to like actually pay attention a lot to the items you're holding and stuff. The reason for this though is that ore stacks to 50 while plates stack to 100. So this means is that you can fit twice the amount of plates in the same space you can fit the amount of ores, or so if you have 40 slots like in a cargo wagon, you can fit twice as much plate as you could ore. Um, Therefore, when you ship a load of ore, you're only sending half as many items, which is so does what I just said. At smaller scales, such as when your factory is starting out, this isn't that big of an issue, but when you start dealing with ore and plate counts in the tens of thousands per minute, it can make a big difference. Even with belts, it's more efficient to transport blades and plates than ore, but with trains, the difference can be overpowering. Um, so, I'm going to read these two paragraphs here and then kind of summarize the rest because there is an overarching thing that they are getting at here. So, as every experienced Factorio player will tell you, trains are the way to move large amount of resources across long distances in the late game. Many players design rail systems that take 2 or even 4 trains in either direction, and much time and effort is spent in developing good junctions. But at the end of the day, the thing that matters most with a rail system is throughput. If you have fewer shorter trains running, your rail system will always be more efficient than if you have more longer trains running. Longer trains block intersections far more time, and the more trains you have running through the same area, the more likely they are to spend time waiting in a jam. If you're anything like me, you design your rail network as your base grows. You might ogle over the nice intersections and city block patterns on the Factorio subreddit, but at the end of the day, your rails, like mine, are a mess. That sounds at all like you. The number of trains running through your system is crucially important, and shipping plates quite literally halves it. So really, even if you're a designer and your rail network never leaves trains waiting, you're still capped at a maximum throughput of about 30 trains per minute per rail, and shipping plates instead of ore allows you to ship twice as many items with the same number of trains. That halves your rail building requirements, and it has another advantage as well. Your smelting can be smaller and more compartmentalized, and less likely to take up large swaths of your main base and present a major logistical challenge. When I designed my first Megabase, I centralized all smelting, and the number of trains I had to handle in a single location was excessive. Uh, Even running 7-car trains, I would separately have 5 or 6 stacking and waiting to unload, and I had continuous throughput problems as a result. I literally could not unload or maneuver trains fast enough to keep up with my base's demand for iron and copper, and so eventually I had to find an alternative solution. That solution was smelting plates in place, which would mean at the ore patches. Not only does shipping plates have the number of trains in your network, it also doubles the amount of time a shipment lasts for and reduces the amount of time your trains spend shunting. So this is a very good point. I have one particular series on my channel, which is quite old at this point, but it is the Sending Supporters to Space series, which is very long. I think over 100 episodes. It's the biggest Megabase I've built by myself. It was 4,000 science a minute, and
Ooh.
yeah,
Well,
hmm?
oh, that's a lot more than I've done. I was gonna say I got up to 400 cents per minute, and I was pretty proud of that.
I mean, that's still pretty good. 4,000 was a lot back then, especially due to the game not being as optimized. But I ran into these exact issues I mentioned because I, at that point, had not tried smelting at ore patches. So I had centralized smelting, and I think my requirements for that base were doing about 400,000 iron plates a minute. And training that much ore in was insane. Um, it worked eventually, but there were a ton of problems. It was still ridiculous. I think there were hundreds of trains on that map, and
We all know your relationship with trains is not exactly the healthiest of relationships.
no, it's a very destructive, dangerous relationship. Um, so my point being is that I have experienced these exact problems. I can testify that this is a problem, especially when you're building on these very very large scales. Now, personally, I've not actually built a base with smelting at the ore patch. I've just not really built that huge of a mega base since then. But if I were to start a big mega base, I would definitely do what they're mentioning here is smelting at ore patches. And they go on to say, and I'm going to summarize this basically, one thing they do mention is that you could take this even a step further. If you happen to have iron and copper patches like near each other, you could smelt the plate, and then instead of transferring the plate, um, you could actually just make green circuits in that and then in that area, and then like ship green circuits, and then not even have to worry about shipping the plates for that X amount of green circuits you need to make. So as I say here, the concept of course stretches to infinity, etc. The red and green science can be made anywhere you have iron and copper, because that's all it takes. And anywhere, and engines can be made anywhere you have iron. So you can just kind of take this further and further, to the point where you're just making as much as possible at an ore patch and just reducing the amount of trains you have running on your network, um, which is just really good for throughput, good for performance. It's not as cool. I mean, I think we can agree that having a ton of trains constantly moving through your base is really cool. But
It's super satisfying. It really makes the factory feel a lot more alive than belts do, honestly.
yes, extremely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. For sure. I mean, I remember in my sending supporters to space base, once we got it running fully, I would just stand there and just watch like a huge that there was a really long stretch of rail with multiple junctions in it that like went to smelting and the circuit production, and I would just stand there and literally for like 20-30 minutes straight I would just stand there and watch it, because there were so many trains that you would probably see like you know probably like 30, 40, 50 trains passing every minute, and it was just it was so satisfying to watch. Of course it had a lot of throughput problems, but um
Yeah, it's a mess, but it's your mess. And
exactly, it's our mess. So um yeah, I don't know. Like, what do you? I mean, this seems like a good concept. Is this something you've ever done before? Like making something at an ore patch?
yeah, so I didn't actually do the math and come across why this worked well, but I did notice I had a lot of issues when I was shipping my ore over, and I
Mm-hmm.
did have a lot of issues when I wasn't shipping my ore over. I was plates instead. I didn't really like comprehend why at the time, because I never did the math, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would always be like, okay, well, this is like it takes 2.5 seconds to make this, and I'm getting about this many per minute. I don't know. Okay, I'll just go ahead and put in a whole row of buildings, and as long as the belt is empty of uh, resources at the like a little bit before the end of my assembly line, I was happy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I do though in real life work in DevOps where other people send me their code and I have to write my own code to run their code well and
Mm-hmm.
set up hosts and servers well to run their stuff. And we see this throughput tracking basically all the time.
Right.
That's my job, is seeing, okay, as we're scaling up here, why does our production system get caught at this point, and what can we do to solve it? Sometimes it's scaling up and just sometimes it's making the assembly line longer. Sometimes it's adding extra rows to the assembly line, and other times like this, it's saying, oh hey, we probably shouldn't even have this assembly line, right? We should put this over in a whole different spot, which is what
Right.
they're doing. And yeah, it's awesome. Well, one thing in particular I like about this is that it kind of combats the mental path that a Fortnite player will take, where originally when they start playing, it's just trying to get all of the resources up to a single assembler and make one item come out of it, you know? And then a little bit later, it's like, okay, I can make one item come out of one assembler. How do I make a row of item or a row of assemblers so I can get a bunch of items coming out? And then from there, okay, how do I get this all in one spot? And how do I expand my factory in this direction or that direction? And this fights against that mentality, and it says you don't want to do this all in one spot. I know you have a really nice design for 50,000 uh, copy pastable smelters,
Mm-hmm.
but you shouldn't necessarily use that.
Right.
And that's not a mentality a lot of people come across on their own without giving it a lot of thought.
Yeah, that's very true. Um, it is pretty interesting in that way. I I noticed. I thought you were going a different direction because I know it was on accident, but you said Fortnite instead of Factorio.
Oh
I
shoot,
thought
did
you were
I?
gonna compare it to Fortnite. I'm like, ooh, this is gonna be interesting.
No, no, I do have Fortnite on the brain recently, but
But
I
yeah.
was just thinking about their dances and how they're stealing dances from everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's, oh
Yeah.
man, Fortnite dances, dude. Totally different topic, but way fun. All of the different emotes they have.
Yeah, that's pretty fun for sure. But you bring up some good points, and I mean, I imagine it's like you said, I imagine it's really interesting for you to like see the similarities between your work and actual Factorio play and concepts. And that's
Yeah,
probably why so many people in the tech field love Factorio.
yeah, it's definitely a lot less pressure when it's a Factorio factory broken rather than production. And like, you've got some business guy saying, "Yo, dude, we're literally losing $10,000 an hour while this is down. Can you get it back up?"
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it is, you do kind of get like a pit in your stomach when your factory starts to brown out, though. Like, that is still
yes,
shared. It's just slightly different levels.
yeah, for sure. Doesn't necessarily impact your livelihood.
Yep, for sure.
um, yeah, this is really good. Really, I mean, I would agree this is really great thinking if anyone's considering doing a huge mega base, unless you're just like super set on having a bajillion trains, and if so, then you go for it. But if you're trying to be efficient, good throughput, better performance, all that, it is very advantageous to actually make things at the ore patches at least the most you can. So yeah, if I ever build a huge mega base again, that is the strategy I will be attempting to do, unless I have something else crazy in mind. But really cool ride up here by Lone Wolf. And the last section here is there is a BCG, Big Gaming Community's MMO event tomorrow. Um, Now we're actually recording this video on time. It is Friday when we're recording this. This
Woo!
will go out. Uh, well, normally it would go out Saturday. Maybe I should just release it today so that this is actually relevant. But yeah, so there's monthly MMO events starting the first Saturday of every month. Yes, you read that correctly. It'll start right away this very Saturday. It looks like somewhere. We don't need to read this whole thing. I thought I read somewhere in here that um, uh, Crastorio had been chosen. Oh yeah, Crastorio 2 has been selected as a
Mhm.
main mod for this returning event. So yeah, I've actually played Factorio 2. I played it on stream. It's a really good mod. Obviously, if you're new to modded, it may be a little much. Although it's not that huge of an overhaul. That's what I really liked about it. It wasn't like a Bob's Angels level of thing. Um, yeah, if you're a streamer and want to participate, it's open. So this is a countdown. It looks like about 17 hours here until it starts. And yeah, for more info like the full mod list, check out the website and join the Discord. And yeah, if you're interested in the MMO events, definitely worth checking that out. And of course, contributing to the ALT-F4 as always. All the info down here. You have anything else to add?
Let's see. I don't know if any of the viewers here did catch that Spiffing Brit run, but it was freaking hilarious, man.
Yes.
Like, how how relevant is the phrase "steal all the resources from the Norwegians" to you? Like, that will become relevant if you watch that playthrough, and I think you will like that. You ever wanted to go to war with the Norwegians and steal all their resources? It's the time. Go take a look at
That's the
the
way to do
video.
it. Oh my god. Oh man, yeah. Well, this is yeah. I mean, Spiffing Brit, pretty hilarious. So definitely worth checking that out. There's a link here. This is a really good Friday Fact community version. Really good write ups, mod spotlight, community, uh, uh, mass multiplayer and such. And I think that will do it for this one. Uh, until next week, guys. Always love to hear what you have to say down below. And until next week, we'll see you later.
Catch you later.